Let's look at how the setting affects Jonas's mental state. Notice how the story starts on a really bleak note. The sky's bruised, the horizon is blurred, and even the road seems to mock him with how rough it is. These details show how much Jonas has suffered lately. He's a man who's feeling defeated and numb. The lonely road reflects his inner loneliness. This setting makes us feel downcast, just like Jonas. Just like the road, he feels beaten up and exhausted. As the story goes on, the setting keeps changing, mirroring Jonas's emotional journey. After finding the calves, the story says the sky has gone black and the stars are sharp. This change shows that Jonas's heart is starting to feel something again. Despite the darkness, there are stars. It's like hope has flickered back to life. The descriptions get warmer as Jonas finds comfort in the barn. Later, when Jonas begins to heal and find joy, the setting changes again. Instead of harsh and dark, the story uses words like gentle and bright to describe the light and surroundings. This helps us understand that Jonas's journey is not just about surviving, it's about finding happiness again. The ending is a great example of how the setting matches Jonas's feelings. The sunrise symbolizes renewal, showing how Jonas has changed and grown from his experiences. In the story, Jonas didn't just save animals, he saved himself too. This is called self-discovery, so as you read, pay attention to how the weather and the places affect the main character's emotions. It's an important part of understanding the story. It's not just about what happens, but also how it makes the characters feel, both inside and out. Now let's talk about character motivation. Why do characters do what they do? Well, it all boils down to their motivations. What drives them? What do they want? And why do they want it? Let's start with Jonas Hale. Right from the beginning, we see that Jonas is a man going through a tough time. His farm is falling apart, his crops failed, and his livestock are dying. But despite all this, he still takes care of the stranded cows. Why? Because he can't bring himself to abandon them. He has a strong sense of compassion and refuses to leave the animals to die alone. We know Jonas is a man of principles because even when people like Ezekiel Boone make fun of him, Jonas doesn't argue or get angry. He simply ignores them, showing that he's not interested in other people's opinions. He does what he believes is right, even if it's hard. This shows us that Jonas has a strong sense of justice. Miriam Carter is another interesting character. When Jonas needs help, she's always there for him, whether it's selling him blankets or giving him food. She understands his struggles because she's been through hard times herself. She lost her husband, George, in the harsh winter and understands how difficult it can be to keep going when things seem hopeless. Then we have Ezekiel Boone, a successful rancher who looks down on Jonas because he thinks his neighbor has failed as a farmer. But what's really behind Ezekiel's behavior? Puts up a tough guy act, but deep down he's hurting, struggling to keep his own ranch afloat and is afraid to admit it. To hide his worries, he picks on Jonas, thinking it will make him feel better. As you read this story, pay attention to how each character acts. Think about why they behave the way they do. Do their actions make sense based on what we learn about them? By understanding a character's motivation, you can understand their choices and their effect on the plot. Another thing you could think about is the importance of small acts of kindness. Imagine you're walking home from school, and you see a classmate sitting on a bench crying. Maybe they've been left out of a game or have been teased by other students. How would you react in this situation? Would you walk past without paying any attention, pretend to be busy, or ask if they want to talk about what's wrong? In our story, Jonas Hale could have easily ignored the mewing calves and decided that it wasn't his responsibility. However, he chose to listen to their cries and offer them help. Even though he was already struggling to survive himself, he chose to share his limited resources with the calves. This act of kindness reminded him that life was still worth living. Taking care of the calves gave him a new purpose and helped him heal from the pain of losing his wife and disconnecting from the world. So here's a question for you. Think of a time when you or someone you know offered help to someone in need. How did it make you feel? How did it impact the person you helped? Sharing your experiences can help others realize the importance of compassion and kindness. And finally, let's talk about the power of change. Characters can undergo significant transformations throughout a story, and these changes can teach us valuable lessons about life. At the start of the story, Jonas Hale is a broken man, defeated by his failures and the harsh winter. He's completely absorbed in his own grief, seeing no point in trying to fix anything. The loss of his wife has left him empty inside, causing him to lose interest in everything else in his life. But everything changes when he comes across the mewing calves. Their helplessness reminds him of his daughter and stirs up his long-dormant feelings of paternal love. This compels him to abandon his plans of taking his own life, and instead focus on saving the calves. As he battles the elements and fights for the calves to stay alive, Jonas slowly begins to heal emotionally. His determination to protect them leads him to discover a renewed sense of purpose and strength. In fact, the turning point in the story happens when Jonas decides to save the calves. This event helps him to break free from the grip of his depression and start feeling alive again. By taking care of the calves, Jonas transforms from a man who's ready to give up on life to someone who finds the courage to keep going. In doing so, he rediscovers the beauty of human connection and the power of empathy. Through his journey, we learn that even in the darkest of times, a single act of kindness can be enough to turn our lives around. So here's a question for you to ponder. Can you think of a time when helping someone else helped you feel better? Or maybe you helped an animal and it made you feel happy. Tell us about that time. Your experience can inspire others and remind us of the healing power of compassion. That's all for today. Remember, when you read, pay attention to the setting, the characters, and how they change and grow. Look for the deeper meanings and themes in the stories you read. And most importantly, let the story inspire you, and leave a comment below telling us what you learned from this story. See you next time.